Hello, I'm Natalie Ryan Hebert, and I'm joined here with my lovely client Lacey, who went through the Red Tent program with me nearly a year ago. And we're doing a little follow-up today. And I don't even know what Lacey's going to say. That's how impromptu this is. So we're just going to have a chat and very informal. So thanks for joining me, Lacey. I'm so glad that you were happy to do an interview with me.
Of course.
So I guess the best place to start is, where were you a year ago? What was it that made you decide to come and join the Red Tent program? And where were you in your life?
Yeah, so I had struggled for quite a while. I was diagnosed soon after my son was born, maybe a year and a half after, and tried all of the supplements and everything. But eventually, it just seemed to get worse progressively. I eventually, after trying several birth controls that didn't work, I eventually found a OBGYN that suggested a different dosage. I was sensitive to estrogen, so I found something that worked, that got me through for about 5 years. And then 40 hit and perimenopausal symptoms came. And I slowly noticed that my birth control wasn't working as well as it was. It was definitely masking a lot of the symptoms, which made, life manageable somewhat. But yeah, once I hit 40, it just slowly stopped working. And
what kind of symptoms were you having?
Extreme fatigue was one of my main ones. And I learned a lot from you about what that meant. I don't know if you want to get into that, but let's see. And then, yeah, slowly in my 40s, I was kind of like on a roller coaster. I'd be okay, and then I wasn't. And 44 hit, and even like more symptoms of perimenopause came on. And I'm like, okay, I've got to do something, because the one thing that I could rely on after trying everything was not working anymore. Yeah.
So you came across me somewhere on the big wide internet somehow. What was it that you came across, and how did you realize, or how did you think, okay, this is what I need to do?
Yeah, this is very important, because I remember, learning about you and seeing reviews, but at the same time, I definitely had some resistance for whatever reason. I think we're just all on our journeys and receptive at different times in our time, in our journey. I also had a lot of brain fog at the time. So, I don't know if I could follow through with seeking out that solution. And so I remember looking into it even further. Like, there were probably 3 different phases of learning about you and what you do. And the first one was just learning about you. The second one was, okay, now what is it that she does? And I found a video about Marissa Peer. I'm like, what is this? And I remember thinking, oh, she thinks it's mind over matter. I'm like, no. PMDD could not be like this mind over matter thing. It's definitely in my body, it's
You're right.
Like, well, that can't be for me.
The body and the mind are so connected, aren't they?
Who knew?
You know that now. It's not about it's the opposite of willpower.
Yes.
It's the opposite of willpower, because that's your conscious mind trying to say, come on, be positive, pull it together, get up, Trinity.
Right.
That's not what it is. it's the subconscious that's creating all this stuff. The body expresses the subconscious mind, and anything that cannot find expression will have to be expressed in a physical way because it has to go somewhere. As you found out with the lethargy you were experiencing, it had a role to play in your life, which it's a year ago now, but I'm guessing it was all to do, if I remember correctly, with you being unable to stop or taking too much on. And so the lethargy was there. It was there to say, listen, if you're not going to stop and rest, I'm going to make you. Exactly. And that's what I see over and over and over again. Yeah. And migraines, the same thing. Migraines have the same role usually. It's usually if you're not going to stop, and for anyone who's listening who gets a lot of migraine headaches, they're probably there. Like, ask yourself, do I have the ability to just stop? Or am I a constant do? Yep. In a minute, I know I just have to, I've got to do this. Yeah, I've got this thing. Oh my gosh, there's so much on. List. If you're a list maker and you are always doing, and you feel like you're on a mountain, but you're on a treadmill and you don't really ever get to the top, but you got to keep going, you're going to get migraines. Or you may get migraines, I should say. Your migraines are probably there to help you to stop and slow down, which is something you discovered working with me. So you got to that. So that was phase 2 was, no, it's not mind over. What is she talking about?
No.
And then phase 3, where I guess that's the final, and that's the last where you actually decided to work with me. What was that?
I had 2 friends who lost their husbands in a span of 6 weeks. And that was like, and I had lost 4, family members the year prior to that. So there was a lot of loss. And I'm like, gosh, I wasn't there living, and available to them. I looked at one of my texts to a friend who lost her husband, and I was just like pushing away because I was so overwhelmed. And I couldn't be the good friend. And that was really sad to me to, realize that. And that was in October. And so like I guess it was early to mid-October. And then I decided at the end of October and signed up with you. I'm like, I've got to, my life is too important to live it halfway.
Yeah, to be just walking through it like a zombie type thing. Yeah. And I guess so these events were like these catalysts in your life to be, I'm not feeling enough, I'm numb, I've numbed myself, or all these sorts of things. Yeah, so you went through the Red Tent, which is, just for those who don't know what the Red Tent is, it's a program that combines rapid transformational therapy. Rapid transformational therapy is like a hybrid therapy that combines the best elements of hypnotherapy. We use hypnosis as the vehicle to sort of work at the subconscious level, neuro-linguistic programming, inner child work, timeline therapy, similar to family systems in some way, parts therapy. There's a lot that's mixed in. It's a bit of a super therapy, and it all takes place in around 2 hours. And then you have a recording that I make for you that you listen to for 30 days, 21 to 30 days to solidify the new beliefs. So it's a bit like we have to weed the garden first before we plant any more seeds. We need to find out, what is this really all about? And that's all through regression, which is also included. And then there's also other tools that I've developed through my own journey of healing PMDD that I share with you and teach with you through the 8 weeks. So you had 2 sessions of rapid transformational therapy, and then you had the online lessons, and then the weekly coaching calls with me for the 8 weeks. So tell me about your experience, or tell everyone watching. I know about your experience, but tell about your experience of the program itself.
It was life-changing, and I'm so grateful for it. Let's see. So you want me to tell you what? Well, let's see.
Yeah, no, without you going deeply into your own story.
Yeah.
But yeah, because how deep do we go into, that's up to you. But I guess, how quick did you feel a shift after you had the session with me? Stuff that you might have been going into therapy for years about, or counseling, or journaling, or all the things that we do to try and heal. And then you have RTT. And
Yeah.
how do you describe that experience?
I had tried therapy throughout my life, and I didn't really see any results. Maybe they'd work me through, little things, but RTT was immediate and I didn't know it. I mean, I felt something big was happening after that first session, but I kind of was cautiously optimistic. I was kind of like being very careful, like really paying attention, like, oh, is that a PMDD symptom? Is that a PMDD?
Yeah, it is. It's almost like it's PMDD PTSD, I call it, because you're still on the, what was that? What was that? Hang on,
Yeah.
I'm a little bit sad. Is this, and the important thing to remember is you're still a human being. And so it's really tricky, isn't it? Because you're still going to have bad days. You're still going to get pissed off at stuff. You're still normal, but it's about learning to, okay, no, that's okay. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Not spiraling. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So during the session, I was surprised that it was the little moments with loved ones and not the big things in my life that I thought were so negative that they would probably show up, but they weren't related to my PMDD, obviously. But just recognizing that was an eye-opener. Like,
I often say you see, the big stuff, you've already looked at it to death.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe. And it's so often the stones that were left unturned because you went, well, it couldn't be that. So you just walk right past it when you're scanning your past for things that could be the problem.
Right.
These little moments, like an amazing example of this, I had a client the other day who went back to a scene from her life. She wanted to know why premenstrually she felt useless. Like, I need people to look after me. That's the feeling. And everyone has a different experience premenstrually. This is why I'm just there going, it's trauma, you guys. Like, why do you think the same stuff keeps coming up for you? And it's not the same as every other person going through PMDD. For some, it's anxiety. For some, it's depression. For some, it's really deep sadness. For some, it's rage. Like, it's different for everybody, but it's an exacerbation of something. And for her, this was her thing. That was the thing that she felt was the biggest, of just feeling so incompetent and incapable and needing help. The scene she went back to, and as soon as she got there, she burst into tears. And I thought, oh, this is going to be big. She's 3 years old. She's helping her mummy hang out the washing. And her dad's in the garden, sort of just, in the background, just watching. And she's handing her mummy the pegs, feeling like a big girl. This is a big job for me. She's really excited. She's feeling good. She's feeling like, wow, mummy's letting me help her. And this is the important thing to remember. We look back at that with our adult eyes and go, oh yeah, kid helping the mum hang out the washing. Now, for a 3-year-old, this is just like she's been promoted to the best job ever. Like, if you put it into the adult equivalent.
Right.
And we don't think of it like that because we can't remember how it felt to be the 3-year-old. But when she's back in that 3-year-old body experiencing it again, and she's got this big important job of being the peg hander upper, and she accidentally drops the peg, she's like, oh no, how did I do that? Oh no, I thought I was going to hand it to her. And that's the beginning of it. And what makes it worse is that her mom bends down and picks it up. Like, this is such a banal, normal, everyday event that we've all experienced with our kids. But for her, what she made it mean was, I'm not capable, and I really know I'm not now, because something as simple as picking up a peg, my mum's doing it for me because she thinks I'm that incapable. This is what she makes it mean. Of course, this isn't what her mother thinks. Her mother's like, oh, dropped it, I'll get it. And she's like, but that was my job. Oh, you don't think I can do it? I mean, what an example of such a small event. And sometimes people say to me, oh, look, I don't have any trauma, so I don't really know about this theory of yours. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's because the stuff that you often go back to is not what you would consider traumatic.
Right.
But it was traumatic for you at 3 because of what you made it mean, or as a baby, or 2, or 5, 7, wherever. And the thing is, you can't understand what it was with your adult perspective. You have to go back to feel it again. And then you go, yeah, well, at 3, what I made it mean. And it's not what happens to you, it's the meaning you give it that is the trauma. And that's what you learned as well, wasn't it? It's not what's happening,
Yes.
it's the meaning that I'm giving it. And then that becomes
Right.
part of my belief system. And then I'm carrying that with me like a set of broken records that are playing and running my behavior. Yeah. So you could go back to, so it's not to say that we don't, I also go back to very, very traumatic events,
Right.
loads of sexual abuse, sorry to say,
Oh, yeah.
it's quite rife. And, but it can be the small things too. It can be big T or little t trauma, but they can leave a mark anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's undoing this with the adult understanding. So in her case, she was able to go back and say to her 3-year-old self, sweetheart, it's okay that you dropped the peg. You're still capable. And your mummy thinks you're capable too. She didn't think that it would make you feel this way. And she was able to undo it and actually laugh at her younger self, not, ridiculingly, but just go, oh, how cute I was to have thought that, but I don't believe it now. And you upgrade the meaning, and that's what it's all about with the RTT, as you experienced too. So yeah, and then there's also the part of the program where there are others who are doing the program with you as well, with similar journeys, but of course very unique life paths with their own stuff. How did you find the group calls, if you can remember back to last year?
Yeah, well, I felt like I was getting a lot out of it. And it was just interesting what they were going through and what they were getting out of it. But I feel like yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It was just really nice on a Sunday to know that others were going through the same thing, and we all supported each other.
Yeah, and we never know what's going to come up on the calls, and the sorts of, sometimes there's a theme and everyone's like, oh, that's the same for me, and then I can speak a lot to that, and I never know what I'm going to teach on the calls, but that's what I love about them, the improvisational nature of them. So you found the red tent, you joined the red tent, you went through the red tent, and then what happened at the end of this heroine's journey?
So back to that session, I was buzzing, and that was amazing. I took a very long, hard nap. And it felt like a very special day. And so with 2 weeks later, I was confident enough and noticed that I was in the middle of PMDD, or what should have been, I was in the middle of PMDD when I went through this first session. And I was looking for symptoms and I could not find any. So after 2 weeks, I got off of birth control, and I had tried that before the Red Tent program, and lost a job and lost a friend, and because I knew my body needed a break from birth control. But
this time,
I got off of it, and my husband was very nervous.
Button down the hatches, everyone. Off birth control.
And he kept pointing out little things, and I'm like, no, it's not that phase of my, I'm like, it's because I'm really upset with you. It has nothing to do with PMDD. He'd point out the littlest things, the littlest arguments. And I'm like, nope, sorry, can't put it on PMDD. Maybe you need to change your behavior. And then, at month 4, he was like, you know what? Yeah, it's gone. It's completely gone. And I can't believe it. And he finally admitted. And so I knew it was gone, from day one, but it was just so nice to have
Yeah,
to have him see it too
totally. Have that partner
and
reflection,
be
because
comfortable.
it affects them so much as well.
Yeah.
And I think they also have a bit of PMDD, PTSD.
Yes.
What was that?
Yeah.
Because it's tough for them too. It's really hard. I
Yeah.
really feel for the partners.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I feel for my own partner and what he went through. But it is lovely when they can reflect back to you that you've really changed, and that it's kind of like a resurrection of sorts, or a rebirth, like the you that you were always born to be, but you'd had all these things in the way to protect yourself, and coping mechanisms, everything. And PMDD, I feel, is sort of like, it's actually the real you trying to push out of all this stuff, but you keep hitting your own shell that you created years ago, and you're sick of having it. Like, that's the metaphor that I see over and over again, is this is just the real you going, I've had enough of this. Can we please, you know, it's all the symptoms you're having are just trying to wake you up. And that's what this process is all about. You come to heal PMDD, but actually you leave with your real self, who you always wanted to be but didn't think you could be, because you had to contort yourself in some way or put some kind of thing in place in order to be loved or to be safe or to belong. And we heal that. That's the thing. It's about finding belonging within yourself, loving yourself, being safe with yourself. So wherever you go, there you are. And then all these symptoms just go, oh, good. She got the message.
It's exactly how it worked. It was just the dissolving of the neuro pathway just took all of the symptoms away, dissolved it all. It was amazing.
Yeah, I talk about it all very metaphorically, but that's right. It is neural pathways. There are physical changes that take place in the brain. It's not just airy fairy la la metaphors. I use those because I love metaphors. But the fact of it is that your brain is not as it used to be.
Right.
And probably the cells of your body, there's probably a whole upgrade through your whole, because as the mind changes, the body follows. All the symptoms you used to have, where's the fatigue? Where is it? I have clients who've come and they've had the most incredible cramps. It's adenomyosis. They're on the waiting list for hysterectomy because the cramping and the bleeding is so bad. Go through the red tent. Don't need a hysterectomy. All the cramping's gone. Where did it go? Like, these are very physical expressions, but all we did was work on the mind and the emotions.
It's amazing. Yeah. I mean, I had brain fog so bad prior to that, and it just went away. And I remember just struggling with my business every month. I'm like, oh, I'm a go-getter. I've got, I'm a goal setter, but then it would hit and I just could not, think. And now, I mean, I went through a full year of just full works. Sorry. I freeze when I'm on screen, but so I'm not really showing how my brain fog is lifted, but it completely has. It completely has. But to go through a full year and notice that, well, like, I just started my period today, and I would have never known. I had no idea.
Yeah, it's so amazing. That happens to me now too, and it's just like, oh, yeah. I mean, you still, I think, as a female, you need to be aware that there are 4 seasons to your cycle.
Yes.
It's not, you're not a man with a 24-hour testosterone spike in the morning going along like this. It's funny. We are like, woo, we are.
Right. Yeah.
And to be aware of it, not that, oh no, but just to go, instead of calling it Hell Week, as so many do, to call it Self-Care Week. Okay, listen, things are going to be more sensitive around about now. You're not going to feel as extroverted as you usually are. It might not be a massive change, but just to notice those subtle changes and to be there for yourself and go, it's okay, you don't need to go to that party. Or I'm going to give you a massage today, and let's have a nap, because, progesterone spiking. So you deserve a lie down. This kind of awareness of our cycle is also important, because when we look after ourselves, our body doesn't have to do it for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about the body saying no because it doesn't think you can. When you say, I'm going to stop working for the day because I am actually a bit sleepy,
Mm-hmm.
then your fatigue says, good, you seem to have a hold on this, I'm going to leave you alone. But if you keep pushing through, fatigue's going, oh, God's sakes, I guess I'm going to have to step in again because she's just not looking after herself.
Right. Yep.
That's what the body says no is all about. The body will say no if you can't say no for yourself. So yeah, so that's wonderful. And how's business now that you're sort of able to be on a fairly even keel, because it's such a big impact it has on so many areas of your life, including professional life, because you're self-employed, you're a designer.
Yeah.
How's that been now, like past year?
It's been great. I can't say there's been a big increase in income, but it's just so nice to not have downtime. Like, sure, I give myself the 3 days of my period to like, that's my clue to like, okay, I'm allowed to take a nap today, or maybe I take half the day off or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just fun to have, to know that it's possible I could take on more. I think I'm in that year. My son is a senior, so I'm kind of like waiting to level up my business until he's definitely, on his way in college. But
and that's also good that you're able to say, okay, I want some energy for this, so I'm not going to hustle and overbook and over commit myself because this is more important. And that's also self-loving.
Yes.
Yeah, I can feel into that. I've got priorities too coming up. We're going to be moving to Australia, and I know I'm going to need energy for that. So I'm not pushing. I'm not going for it. I'm not actually letting it be that I'm saying it's open, come and get me. There's a bit of a, yeah, I've got to contain it. So I know what you mean by that. And I think that's leading yourself when you can do something like that.
Right.
Feeling.
And I know it's not, my body saying no, it's like making that decision myself, which is so nice. And coming up with, I guess, planning the future.
Yeah. So there's a woman watching this right now. Hello. There's going to be many that watch this video as I put up on YouTube. A lot of people are searching for this. What would you say now that you're on the other side of your journey? What advice would you give to someone who's in the same spot that you were a year ago?
I've been on all the forums and I just shout it from the rooftop because I'm like, this is life-changing. I use the C word, the cure. And I know some people don't like to say it, but it is. I don't know how else to put it. It's the cure. You're getting to the root cause. But what I'm noticing is people find the teacher when they're ready.
Yeah, it's so true. I put my message out there, but I don't go into all the forums I used to in the beginning because I was like, Eureka, I found it, everyone. But your message is not going to be heard until the student's ready. It's really true. There are some who are just not ready. It's not going to land, and that's okay. Yeah. I was like that too. You were like that too. Exactly. And that's okay. Because when the time is right, all of this is going to actually land, and it'll be like, this resonates. Okay, come and see me. When it resonates, it's right. And to trust that, because you know what's right for you, and you'll feel it when it feels right. Yeah. So we will finish up our little catch up, but thank you so much for sharing with me today, Lacey. And it's so lovely to see you again and see you thriving again. Yeah, see you looking so well and doing so well. And thank you for sharing your inspiring story.